In today's video, similarly to the past few, we're going to be talking about an overall warmer and quieter pattern, but we will be going over some snowfall and cold opportunities within there. What I mean is that it will overall be a warmer pattern, but there will be colder days within that overall 10 to 15 day period. Let's say about 2 to 3 cooldowns that last about 24 to 48 hours apiece. We're going to be talking about those today. Let's dive into things, and we can see that we have this kind of south central storm that we've been talking about here for about a week or so. It's really interesting because the jet stream has kind of gotten away from it. Our jet stream is right now doing something like this, and this storm is really just cut off from that. So it's not taking too much of a motion. It will rise over time slowly but surely, but overall not moving in too much of a hurry. I want to take us towards tomorrow afternoon, and we see that it kind of just elongates across the central states. So we see some thunderstorms and showers here for Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas, with some snowfall mixing in for Minnesota, South Dakota, Nebraska, and Wisconsin. If that doesn't give you an idea of how warm the pattern is compared to normal, I don't know what will, because these areas should be seeing all snow this time of year, and surely that is not the case here. Obviously, once we head into the overnight hour, as you can see, we do switch over to snowfall here. This is overnight Friday into Saturday, and we do see some moderate to heavy snowfall for the Dakotas, Nebraska, Minnesota, and northern portions of Wisconsin and the upper peninsula of Michigan, perhaps. So this could be a quick snowstorm for them. It is obviously cold enough in these areas typically for snow to stick immediately, but with those warmer daytime temperatures, I am skeptical of how quickly that snowfall can accumulate. But in the heavier pockets, I'm sure some areas will pick up about 1 to 3 inches or so of snowfall. Let's just take this towards Saturday afternoon, and what we see is we are left with some snow showers around here for the high temperatures finally. So things do get a little bit cooler here for Iowa, Minnesota, South Dakota, and Nebraska. Let's just take this forward though. In a second, actually, I do want to talk about these thunderstorms and showers across the deeper south in here, especially Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi. Now let's go ahead and take it forward towards Sunday. And this is when things are looking very interesting. I'm going to backtrack us actually towards Sunday morning on December 17th. And you can see a 997 millibar low pressure center over central Florida. This gives way to a pretty interesting situation. We have strong showers and thunderstorms within this low pressure system, which is the beginning of a nor'easter. We also have strong winds for both the west coast and the east coast of Florida because it's sitting straight over them. Very interesting and very impactful storm for Florida, especially. And as we head towards the afternoon hour, we do see that we have an interesting setup, and it all begins out west as it always does. We do see a bit of a positive P&A that takes place for what feels like a moment, and it allows for this cold air to want to move into the east. So it is going to be heading this way eventually. And we have this storm moving up the coast. So things are progressing in a way where there is opportunities for snowfall within this storm. But really, it's going to come later, and it's going to come on the back end of things, and it's going to be more minimal because of that, is at least what it appears like as of now. We're moving closer and closer to the storm, so the amount of time where there's an opportunity for change is dwindling. Let's keep going, though, towards Monday, and what we see is an extremely strong nor'easter here offshore of New Jersey in the Delmarva. 974 millibar low pressure center. Surely going to bring flooding and strong winds with it. And we can see that the jet stream is dipping southward for the United States. So there is cold. It's just not quite to the east yet. And I don't say this lightly, but if this was happening 24 hours later when the cold would be in place, we would be talking about a historic snowstorm for the East Coast. We would be talking about 2 feet plus of snowfall for areas across the Mid-Atlantic, the Southeast, and the Northeast. I mean, this would be a widespread blizzard, perhaps, for a lot of these areas, and likely the top snowstorm of the year. But obviously, the ingredients did not come together quite that way. As we head towards the overnight hour, what we begin to see is some back-end snowfall. This is such a large system that it's located over northern New Hampshire at this point, but we see snowfall showers developing across the Appalachian Mountains and the Ohio Valley as a result of this system as this cold air heads southward. So we could pick up some quick dusting to a couple of inch amount accumulations here across Ohio, West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia perhaps. Let's keep going towards Tuesday afternoon, and we do begin to see a secondary low develop to the south here, 999. This is a pretty interesting scenario, and I could see the case for this to cause some snowfall to develop across a lot of the United States. As of now, it's a very broad low pressure system on this model run. We do get snowfall showers across the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and portions of the Northeast as a result of this. But if this thing is able to develop closer to the coast, this secondary low, I could see the case for some interior snowfall that is a little bit more intense than what we're seeing here as we're just going through all the opportunities. Later on, you can see it weakens, it heads northward, but it does bring some snow showers to more coastal areas in Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, perhaps even north or eastern Pennsylvania, but this would be very light in nature. By Wednesday afternoon, that storm has moved out for the most part. Still very slight wintry showers happening in New England, but pretty much all said and done. And we do have a southwest major storm on the way here by Wednesday the 20th. Thursday the 21st, we see it's getting closer and closer to coming on shore. And by Friday the 22nd here, we can see it is about to make contact with areas in pretty far southern California. We do have some showers and thunderstorms developing along the southern jet here for the central states as well, as our southern jet is doing something like this. So it's taking a little bit of a kind of northern turn there across the central United States, and this causes some showers and thunderstorms to take place. Pretty flat jet stream. The northern jet is doing something like this, so it is descending into the eastern states, but not enough so to bring below average temperatures by any means. By the time we're taking a look at Saturday the 23rd, we do get a pretty interesting scenario here as well. So if you're picking up on it, this model run is looking much more interesting than our past few days. A couple opportunities for some interesting things to take place, which I enjoy because at least it's something to talk about here. We get this low up here, 1002 up here for Canada. Possibly going to bring snowfall to very far northern New England, but there is this kind of broad section of precipitation to the south of this low. If this could develop into a secondary low, I could see the case for some New England snowfall as a result of that system. We don't really get too much in the way of that. We do get a little bit on the back end. I could see this becoming more dramatic over time. And really, once we look at the southern jet here, keep in mind northern jet's up here. Southern jet is somewhere down here, pretty flat as well. That's bringing precipitation along the southern states. So we're seeing that taking place for the four corner states and the south central states with snowfall in those mountainous areas, as you can see. Let's go ahead and take a look at our GFS American model here. I wanted to present this to you guys because there are some differences, not only with our major storm here, which we're going to see. It takes a much more inland track. Still very strong, 983, about 5 millibars weaker, perhaps a little bit more. Here by this point. Cold air is still late to arrive here, so we see an all-rain event here, and we get this secondary low also on this model. Keep in mind the storm does lower down to a 973, similarly to that European model, and similarly to that also we see snowfall showers across the Appalachian Mountains and Ohio Valley there. Very, very interesting stuff. By the time we're reaching Tuesday afternoon, we see that low is around and we get snowfall in New England in the form of pretty light showery activity. Again, very similar to the European model, we begin to see this activity take aim at the southwest as this southern jet is kind of moving in this direction. Your northern jet is doing something like this. We don't have a connection there really, and that's why we're not seeing coastal storms during this time. I want to keep going. We do get a lot of activity across the central states as we do see a low develop here around Christmas time. So we're seeing Kansas, Missouri area with some snowfall perhaps to the upper Midwest and south central states. That would be Christmas Eve night into Christmas morning. And we can see for the day on Boxing Day here, so December 26th, we do get a very broad and very weak low across the Ohio Valley and the southern jet pushing into the eastern states. But all of our cold is located over the west. So this is a negative PNA pattern. Pacific North American Oscillation is what that stands for. All it really means is that in a negative phase, we see colder temperatures in the west. In a positive phase, we see warmer temperatures in the west. And 9 times out of 10, you're seeing the opposite in the east of what you're seeing in the west. So we see the cold here in the west. We're getting warm in the east. That's why it's such an important indicator. Now, this does become a little bit of a snowstorm, as you can see, between the 26th and 27th here for the upper Midwest. Definitely worth noting. And we do get some colder times and more nor'easters later on. So here's the 29th. Take this with a grain of salt, as this is very long range. but we're getting some suggestions of cold and nor'easters matching up here in the long range. I'd say that's the big takeaway, and certainly something to give us hope that these models are seeing these quick opportunities continue into the late portion of December, perhaps even getting better. So we're not going to be without snowfall chances, I don't think. I think there will be opportunities within here before we reach January, and I'm looking forward to tracking it with you guys. Let's go ahead and go over our total precipitation, and we can see very large amounts along your eastern seaboard and then also your western seaboard, but pretty exclusive for the southwest here. The northwest looking a little less intense, and this all kind of coincides with our jet stream pattern in the southern jet. I mean, we're seeing this kind of up the east coast through the southwest pattern, and that really aligns with this precipitation forecast. Total snowfall is looking very minimal. Some of your mountains, especially here in the southwest and for the Four Corner states, we're seeing some snowfall, and then very slight amounts along the east for the next 10 days. So this gets us through Christmas Eve. This is what we're expecting, and again, maybe 2 to 4 inches across the upper Midwest from that quick system here coming up in just a couple of days. Temperature pattern, we do get that cool down coming to an end here. Things will warm up as we reach the late weekend into early next week, but as we reach the Tuesday, Wednesday time frame, we do get another eastern cool down. So keep in mind, we will have another 24 to 48 hour kind of window here of colder air with extreme warmth compared to normal out west. This is going to be, again, a very strong positive PNA. Like I mentioned, warmer temperatures out west. We're seeing the opposite in the east, and sure enough, we're seeing that here. That one does eventually try to come to an end as we see warmer temperatures trend back in as we reach towards Christmas Eve, Christmas time frame. But again, that's beyond 7 days out, so take that with a grain of salt. We could see things look colder. We could see things look warmer. Certainly could change beyond that 7-day mark. Would not be surprised at all. Anyway, we're going to keep you guys up to date with all of these things over the next coming days. We do upload every single day, so be sure to subscribe. Be sure to hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Also, like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.